Casteism in the so-called Hinduism is a social problem which has been there even before Gautam Buddha. It is an evil of the Hindu society and needs to be dealt with. But it would be totally wrong to say that it is found in the Vedas or the spiritual scriptures of the Vedas, which happen to be the root of the so-called Hinduism, was edited by Vedavyasa, who was a Shudra by birth. He was a son of a fisherwoman. And he not only edited the Vedas, he wrote even the Mahabharata, which is again another Hindu scripture. And then we have the Ramayana, another major scripture of the Hindus, which was written by Valmiki, who also was a thief. To start with, he was a bandit. He was in the forest, trying to loot all the people who went across the forest. And in the way the story goes, that he met another rishi who taught him the route to the truth, and that's how he went on to become Valmiki and wrote the Ramayana. And then we have Sri Krishna, who is supposed to have delivered the Bagavad Geetha, another major scripture of the so-called Hindus, was also covered by birth, means Yadava, means again a lower caste, that is the Shudra. So these are shining examples to drive home the point that casteism in the so-called Hinduism is not by birth. It is by anybody can rise to the status of a Brahmin by his self-effort. It has nothing to do with a person being born. Actually, when you look at it in the so-called Vedic understanding, it is said that everybody is ignorant, starts being. When a person is born a Shudra, means ignorant. Ignorance, and that is what he makes of himself through his effort, is what he ultimately is. So nobody is really born into the caste system or the lowest caste and the highest caste. Everybody is born low, and the height of whatever they can reach is by self-effort thing to do with being a caste decided by birth. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is supposed to be the crux of the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas, Shri Krishna says, Chaturvarnam maya shrishtir guna karma vibhagasya. The four categories, the four divisions have been created by me according to one's capability, one's karma, and one's qualities. Guna is quality. So that basically it was made for a proper functioning of a society. Like it now you classify different people with different skills under categories, and this does not exceed beyond that. For example, it is true in its statement in the sense that a person who is qualified to become a doctor needs to do his job alone. A person who is qualified to become maybe a pilot, he needs to do his job. And the guy who's qualified to become a teacher, he has to do his teaching job. A person who is qualified to become a plumber, he does his job. A farmer does his job. So if you don't want that, all you need to do is get out of it, and then you qualify yourself for whatever else you want to do. But what he means by saying that the one cannot do the job of another is because the person who is qualified to be a pilot cannot do the job of a plumber because he is not qualified for it. And a plumber cannot do the job of a scientist because he is not qualified for it. But there is every chance that he wants to qualify himself for it. He surely can do it. And these are the examples of Vyasa and Krishna and even Valmiki clearly giving the message that anybody can raise to that status provided they put in their own effort, what we call is the karma. By your karma alone, your caste is decided according to the Vedic understanding and not by birth. What they mean by a Shudra cannot do the job of a Brahmana, they're basically trying to say that one needs to qualify for the specific job one needs to do. For example, a plumber, if you are qualified to be a plumber and you want to do the job of a scientist, you should not do it. It is dangerous. So that is why you hear stories of a person being punished to do the job of something he is not qualified for. What will happen if he goes and meddles around with, okay, let us take it as a nuclear energy. That is what scientists do. And people who are on a higher thinking or a higher qualified people themselves are called Brahmanas. So it is not that the plumber cannot do the thing of, should not do the thing of the Brahmanas. It is that he needs to qualify to do the job of a Brahmana, and only when he is qualified he becomes a Brahmana, then he is allowed to do it. But staying in the status of Shudra, that is, okay, call it a plumber, how can he do it? It is, that is why you have stories which talk about the Brahmana, when the Shudra tried to do something, he was punished. Means, what would you do to a person who, even today, for example, what would you do with somebody who goes around and meddles with something they do not know how to handle? That is what they imply in the so-called sub-stories when they say a Shudra was punished because he tried to do the job of a Brahmana. It does not go beyond that. Like I have explained before, everybody is entitled to Brahmanatva, and we have examples of Vyasa, we have example of Valmiki, we have the example of Sri Krishna also, to say, stating clearly that Brahmanatva is achieved only through self-effort, and anybody is entitled to it. And it is not by birth. Nobody is a Brahmana by birth. Brahmanatva is something that one achieves through one's effort.